Ballance, made by German developer Klaus Riesch and his studio Cyperate in 2004 and released by Atari. It's a staple of my childhood and probably the very first actual video game I ever played. And it's what formed my idea of what makes a good ball rolling game. In my opinion, and probably many others, it's a hidden gem. In a nutshell, there's 12 levels where you roll around and try to get to the finish. There's transformers, crates, seesaws, sliders, and other gizmos. On its own, it seems like a rather standard idea, especially for today. But what I think makes it stand out is the sound design, which is what I wanted to look into. The sound design was made by Mon Amour, known for her vocal performances, as well as her video game soundtracks, such as Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days and The Last Look. But she began her career of video game composing with just Ballance. There's a good article on her involvement with the game that I linked in the description. When Mona got involved, Klaus already had a plan for the audio. There should be hyper-realistic sound design, but the music and atmosphere should be surreal. For the sound effects, Mona used real objects. For the collision and rolling sounds, she had to travel far and wide to find actual, real wooden and stone balls. But the main point of this video is the music. There's 5 musical categories with 3 themes each, used across the 12 levels of the game. Theme 1 is used in levels 1, 5 and 10, Theme 2 in levels 3 and 8, 3 and 4, 9 and 11, 4 and 7 and 12, and 5 and 2 and 6. Apart from the skyboxes, the music is the only way that the levels differ thematically from one another, and Mona uses this to change the atmosphere. For example, Theme 1 along with the level 1 skybox sounds hot, literally, like you're above the sun or some scorching crater. Theme 5 sounds like the rain in level 2 and like pollution in level 6. But here's the really interesting part. I remember once watching a GMTK video on the design of Metroid 2 and how the developers took the Game Boy's limitations into consideration and used them to create a certain atmosphere. Whereas most people would consider the small screen size a fault of the system, it can actually work in the game's favor to make you feel small in comparison to the world, or to create an effect of a flashlight and only being able to see a small part of the screen. I think something similar was done in Ballance. They only had the budget, or maybe the disk space, to make 5 distinct themes, yet they took that into consideration and planned out where each theme should go. My favorite example of this is Theme 1 being reused in level 10. The skybox is on a distant planet. It's one of the very last levels of the game, but the music almost contradicts that. It reminds you of your very first moments with the game. In effect, particularly when the first theme of Theme 1 is played, the one with the whole tone scale, it sounds creepy and out of place. You'd expect such a dark level to use a theme such as Theme 3. This clever use of the theme really enhances the atmosphere in my opinion. Another double use of a theme is in levels 7 and 12. Level 12 is the final level, and it even uses a special cloud structure, lighting and thunder. However, level 7 also uses this theme, and this creates an effect of a halfway point. From this level onwards, the levels will really get difficult. And they do. Something I found interesting was Theme 2. It's the shortest and, one could say, lightest theme of them all. It's only used in 2 levels, 3 and 8. In both, it creates an effect of lightheartedness, and for me, it creates a sort of dip in the quote-unquote narrative. In level 3, it comes after the toxic level 2, and in level 8, it's right after the midway point. This theme really refreshes you after some tense action. Then there's theme 3. This is also a breather like theme too, but it's more calming than fun. It really brings to mind the ideas of space being endless and you just being a tiny part in it, but also of space being calm, quiet, lonely, and dark. It evokes a bit different emotions. What I also found interesting is that it plays in two almost consecutive levels, 9 and 11. In the case of level 11, it works like a tension builder, because it's the penultimate level, you just had the same music 2 levels ago, and it's surprisingly calm. Something big must be lurking ahead. And finally, as I already said, theme 5 sounds rainy, corrupted, and stifling. I found it peculiar that it only plays in levels 2 and 6, which are both before the halfway point. For me, this usage of the themes presents that this stifling atmosphere is caused by the underdeveloped life forms, like the ones that roam the earth, and this ball is moving on to a higher plane of existence. You might call this a bit far-fetched, but I'll get back to you on that. There are also other musical noises. The final checkpoint music, immediately sparks a feeling of almost having accomplished something. This guy knows it. The level completion music. Really hammers home that feeling of accomplishment, feeling complete and the ball moving to a higher state of consciousness. The menu music. Feels empty, like theme 3, but also inviting in a way. It makes you want to start playing. Of course, one should not forget the role of silence in all this. Most of the time, you only hear the sounds of your ball rolling, and occasionally a transformer or a point extra sound. Mona says that people underestimate the power of silence in soundtracks. Remember that if you have no quiet, you can't hear the loud. Without build-up, the tension isn't there. In this case, the silence also acts like an atmosphere builder, like in Breath of the Wild. Finally, there are the ambient sounds. There are only 3 of them, and they can play during other musical tracks. Number 1. Two. And 3. My personal favorite is the third one. It sounds like it has a melody, but it's not a traditional one, and it sounds very far away and on some kind of unknown instrument. To me, it sounded like some kind of deathly hymn, and I gave it the name Anthem of the Faceless Men, which you gotta admit is a pretty fitting name. Back to the ball moving to a higher state of mind, I actually got a comment from someone saying that they linked Ballance to existentialist philosophy. A game about a rolling ball is related to Zen. It sounds weird, but I actually agree with them. The main premise poses tons of questions. Why is this ball here? How can it move around on its own? Who built these courses and why are they so high up? What is this ball's goal? And honestly, I think I'd write off all these questions as goofy video game logic, if not for just the sound design. It's what brought the world of Ballance to life, and what made it a classic. Thank you for watching.